So why does Samsung hate Google? And do they actually hate each other since they have been working together for decades, since Android has started? And could be there any jealousy between the two? Well, in this video, we're gonna analyze Samsung's relationship with Google. So if you wanna know the answer to all of these questions, keep watching. So let's rewind back in time to the year 2007, and Apple announces the first iPhone.
This is one device. And we are calling it iPhone. Today, Apple is going to reinvent the phone.
Everyone was freaking out. What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? How do we create something like this? How do we compete in that new smartphone market with touch screens, without any styluses? At the time, that was revolutionary. And before the year 2007, Google was also preparing for their new smartphone. So they went ahead and bought Android in 2005 for $50 million. And from that point, Google starts to look for some company to create the hardware of the phone. Since Google owned Android and then they're gonna develop Android, create the best apps ever, create the best software ever, they needed somebody else to do the hardware. And so they went ahead and called Samsung. Samsung was like, okay, we're gonna take it, whatever, right? But Samsung had something else in the back of their mind. They wanted to create their own software as well. So they wanted to delete Google's identity from their phones. So if you all remember back then, you remember TouchWiz? The skin of Samsung that was filled up with a bunch of bloatwares and a bunch of unnecessary apps, a Galaxy Store and another apps for photos and another apps for whatever. Every app was duplicated. Google's version and Samsung's version. Until Google noticed what was happening. They noticed that Samsung is trying to delete their identity from their phones. And so they went ahead and looked for other manufacturers and told Samsung that you're gonna be required to view in the bottom when the phone turns on that phone is powered by Android in the bottom. And the war starts from here. Samsung is trying to delete Google and Google is trying to view their identity and, get more customers to use their services. And in the year 2017, Samsung announces the Galaxy S8. That futuristic bezel-less phone with the new aspect ratios and stuff like that. But they also announced Bixby, their new assistant to replace Google Assistant. They kept Google Assistant for sure because the phone was running Android, but Samsung was trying to, embrace that new assistant, Bixby, and it wasn't good. Let's just say it wasn't good. They even had a specific button below the volume rocker, and the smartwatches market was formed. And so Google obviously announced, as a software company, they announced Android Wear, whatever they call it. But Samsung, on the other hand, uses their own software for watches. They call it Tizen because they've learned from their previous mistakes. They want to rely on themselves and not rely on Google so much. And I can see why. Because we all have seen what happened with Huawei, right? The Huawei ban from using Google's services and Google's Android terrified every single phone manufacturer. Because they had in their minds that, I could be next or I could be next. So they want to rely on themselves. The ban of Huawei was a big mistake. But Google needs Samsung. You know why? Because Samsung is the greatest Android manufacturer when it comes to phones. Most Android phones in the world are actually Samsung. And so the only way to push their services to as many people as possible, they had to rely on Samsung phones because Samsung phones are more accessible to the most people. So right now the relationship is actually not as tension as before. They became more closer, more friendly with each other nowadays. But still, in the back of the mind, both of them want to be the dominant manufacturer so they can sell more and access more people and introduce more people to their services. And that's actually good for us, for consumers, because a band like Fortnite, do y'all remember Fortnite? Fortnite was available on the Google Play Store, if you remember, and the Apple App Store as well. But then when they banned it, it was still available on the Galaxy Store. So Samsung users could actually play Fortnite on their phones, no problem, because it's available on the Samsung's Galaxy Store. So that's a big advantage. And Samsung is trying to fight Google's monopoly as soon as they can. And let me know your thoughts in the comments. Let me know if you think Google and Samsung are at war, or if they're friends, or if they had a war before but now they're not like fighting as much. And let me know in the comments, do you use a Samsung phone or a Pixel? Let me know all your thoughts in the comments, or if you use some other phone like a Xiaomi or even Huawei, leave that phone in the comments. I'd love to see how many people are actually using Samsung phones or any other like Android manufacturer, or maybe even an iPhone. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe like that to the channel so you don't miss any of my new videos. And follow me on all of my social media. All the links are going to be in the description down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.